All right, so we are going to start our next new concept, which is perpendicular lines. But before we do that, I'm going to have you practice parallel lines. So the warm up for today is to find the line that is parallel to y equals negative 3x minus 1 and goes through the point 4, 6. All right, so hopefully you guys got y equals negative 3x plus 18 for that parallel line. So now we're moving on to perpendicular lines, okay? This one is the same as parallel, it just adds one little tweak to it. So we're still going to be looking for equations of lines, especially when it goes through 2 points. So the first thing you need to understand is what it means to be perpendicular. So being perpendicular means it intersects at a 90-degree angle, okay? It comes together at a 90-degree angle. So these two lines would be perpendicular lines, okay? And the way we find that is to make their slopes be what is called a negative reciprocal. So some of you guys might be saying, what is a reciprocal? So reciprocal is when you flip your fraction. So if you start with 4 over 3, the reciprocal would be 3 over 4. So then that means a negative reciprocal, if you started with negative 2/3, it would now become a positive 3/2. So if one slope is negative, the next one will be positive and vice versa, okay? So only one of your perpendicular slopes can be negative, okay? The other one has to be positive. That's the only way that we can get that 90-degree angle. And then you have to make sure you do a reciprocal, okay? All right, so the steps to finding our perpendicular lines are the same for parallel. We got to find the slope. We got to find the negative reciprocal of that slope, and then we're going to use that to find our new equation of a line, okay? So this step 2 is the only step that is a little bit different for perpendicular, but no matter what, we have to figure out our original slope first. So here is an example. I kind of wrote it out for you so you could copy it into your notes if you needed to. So if we have this line, y equals 2x minus 1, it's going to pass through this new point. So we need to figure out what the slope is. So we know the slope is 2. And remember, it's really 2 over 1. So to take the negative reciprocal, we know that because this one is positive, the reciprocal has to be negative. And 2 over 1 now flips to be 1 over 2. So we're going to take this new slope and this point and plug it into y equals mx plus b. Here's our m, here's our x, here is our y. So we're saying negative 2 is equal to negative 1/2 times 4 plus b. Well, negative 1/2 times 4 is negative 2. If I add 2 over, I get 0. So that means my new equation is y equals negative 1/2 x. So that 2x minus 1 and negative x or 1/2 x are perpendicular lines to each other. Okay? So let's work on another one, and I'm going to kind of walk us through this one, okay? So if you are a note taker, I would highly recommend that you are taking notes through this. I'm going to pull up my other screen. All right, so the first thing we need to do, let me zoom in just a tad. First thing we need to do is we need to figure out, pull this over. Maybe I can make it bigger for you guys. There we go. So we are going to be able to see that our original slope is right here. So our original slope is negative 1 over 4. And so step 2 says we need to take our negative reciprocal of that. So we know that this one is negative, which tells us that our new slope has to be a positive. And 1 over 4, if I flip it, now becomes 4 over 1 or just 4. So my new slope is going to be 4. And I'm going to use that slope and this point here. There's my x and my y. and I'm going to plug it into y equals mx plus b. So 4 will go where m is, 3 will go where y is, negative 2 will go where x is. Oh, I think I froze over here. Sorry about that. Okay, now I'm good. Maybe I just can't be big. All right, so 3 goes where y is, m is 4, x is negative 2. So now I have 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. To solve for b, I would have to add 8 to the other side. And I get b is equal to 11. So I use my new slope and my new y-intercept to say that the perpendicular line is y is equal to 4x plus 11. Notice this slope and this slope have to be negative reciprocals of each other. Okay, so this is a step-by-step of how you find your negative reciprocal slope, plug it into the equation, and go from there. Okay, so here's another example. I'll make it a little bit bigger for you. What happens if they don't give us the slope to begin with, and we actually then have to find it? Well, we do have a formula for that. We have the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so we have to find the slope first. So in this case, the slope of these 2 points is 2. Okay, and again, remember 2 over 1. So that tells us that the negative reciprocal is going to be negative 1/2. Now we're going to take our new slope and our point and plug it in. You end up getting 2, so that your equation is going to be, let me go back. I don't know why that's there. So that your equation is going to be y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. Okay? So again, if you are a note person, I would highly recommend taking some notes as you go through this. This one adds just an extra step of having to find the slope. So again, I'm going to walk through this problem with you guys because I want to walk you step by step through it. Whoop. All right, let me pull up this other screen again. And we, first of all, have to find the slope of these lines. That's what step 1 is. So we're going to say x1, y1, x2, y2, and we are going to plug it into our formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So when I do that, I end up getting 4 minus negative 2 over 4 minus 0. Minus a negative is a positive, so I get 6 over 4, which is the same thing as 3 over 2. Okay, so there's your slope. Don't turn that into 1.5. Don't turn that into 1 1/2. Leave it as 3 over 2. So now our negative reciprocal slope, well, obviously this one is a positive, so our new slope has to be a negative. And 3/2, if we flip it, now become 2/3. So here's our new slope. And we are going to use this 0.6 negative 1. And again, we are going to plug it into y equals mx plus b. So here's our m, here's our x, here is our y. Negative 1 equals negative 2/3 times 6 plus b. If you are not a great fraction person, that's okay. Here is the hint. 3 goes into 6 2 times. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Okay, you could also do this by putting a 1 underneath the 6 and multiplying straight across, and you end up getting negative 12 over 3, which simplifies to negative 4. So here is another way to do the same thing that I just did. And then we need to add 4 to both sides. B is equal to 3. So we have our slope, we have our y-intercept, and our perpendicular line is going to be negative 2/3 x plus 3. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys do a little bit of practice on each type of these problems, okay, so that we can hopefully feel a little bit more confident before we get into our assignment. So here's the first one. It's just like that first problem that we did. So find the line perpendicular to y equals negative 1/2 x minus 3 that passes through the point 1, 1. One thing I forgot to bring up to you guys is that there is a really cool way of distinguishing a regular equation from a perpendicular equation, and it's this symbol right here. So if I was to do this problem, which I did, I said that my original slope was negative 1/2 and my perpendicular slope was 2. That way I can tell the difference between the two of them. And then I went through and found it. And then I said down here that my perpendicular line is y equals 2x minus 1. So hopefully that's what you guys ended up getting for that problem. So we are going to try one more practice problem. And this is the one where you have to find your slope first. So let me make it bigger for you. You're going to find your slope first, then find the perpendicular slope, and then find your equation. So go ahead and try this one. All right, let me pull up my screen. Hopefully you guys found that the original slope was negative 5, which meant your perpendicular slope was 1/5. And when you plugged it in, you got b is equal to 5, and your perpendicular equation should have been y equals 1/5 x plus 5. Okay, so that is perpendicular lines. Your guys' assignment, is an exit ticket that's posted into Google Classroom. Please, like always, if you are confused at all, you need some extra help, some clarification, reach out to me, join office hours so that I can help you figure this out, okay? I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.